Hi, good to see you on the Gabster channel. This is a really exciting video because I've been working for over a month now to create this board, the Gabster TD1 interface. So what is the Gabster TD1 interface? Basically, it is 6 products in one. We have an I²S input switch. You can switch between 2 inputs. We have a DEM modulator. We'll talk about all these in details. We have a way to convert I²S signal to SIM mode, left and right. We have a balanced mode, and on top of that, we have dual single-ended mode. We'll also talk about that as well. We have an included built-in extremely low linear power regulator and also a CRLC filter. Together with those two last ones, we have a ripple down to half a microvolt, basically almost undetectable. All this packaged in one board designed from the ground up to fit and to complement the Gabster TD1 DAC. I started this project quite a few months ago. I was trying to find a way where I could have 2 DACs, for example, maybe a CD player and a streamer, supplying to my Gabster TD1 DAC and being able to switch between one to the other. Also trying to find ways to fine-tune the DEM so it can actually get the best sound of the TDA1541A chip. And lately with Ian not actually continuing with the production of the PCM board, and there was no date in sight that he might actually produce another one. Everybody was bugging me, okay, yeah, what are we gonna do? We don't have a PCM board. And I said, okay, we can see what's on AliExpress, try a couple boards, and I was working on this project. I felt, okay, well, let's see if I can actually design something. And actually, I'm very excited because the more I worked on it, the more excited I was. And now that I hear the sound, I'm even more excited. I felt like I changed the course a little bit of my board to actually include having the functionality, so you can actually split the I²S signal, so you can send it to the Gabster TD1 DAC. And this is how the Gabster TD1 interface was born. I could definitely see why Ian is not actually excited about creating another one. It is a lot of work. There's lots of programming involved. It's a very small niche product, so it's not like you can make 10 of these boards. Ian's PCM board is very old. It was designed like over 15, 20 years ago, I think. I'm not sure exactly when, but it was very, very old. It's hard to find parts to build it again. And this is a problem I struggle with my Gabster TD1 DAC. Keeps all the time changing parts, discontinuing parts. Now we're struggling with some of the 4.7 capacitors. Before there was a 10 and I discontinued that, I had to split it in 2. And now these are also disappearing. And all the time it's usually from finding raw materials. Sometimes companies that provide raw materials for example, to make some of these capacitors no longer provide them, so automatically they discontinue the capacitor because they can no longer make them. Same thing with the chips. So if you're on your board, you have a couple things that suddenly they're discontinued. Now you're forced to redesign your whole board all over again, and that's could be a lot of work sometime. Some of the biggest highlights are you do not need a master clock in this interface. It just needs the BCK, LRCK, and data. That doesn't mean you're not using the advantages of a good clock on your streamer. It's just not using the master clock particularly. Other than that, it's still using the nice low jitter clocks that you have on your streamer. And what does that help? In case you're using, for example, a CD player or maybe something else, we don't feel dependent to always have a master clock. The second good advantage of this is we now have a DEM clocking system here, and that's the DEM that you have on your TDA1541A chip. Now we're feeding it with the BCK signal, which is a little bit fast, and this way it will allow you to choose your own speed, but depending on which jumper you're using here. If you're not using any jumpers, it goes to 1/8 of the clock, which is probably the recommended speed. but you can experiment with the ones you like. Another great feature is now we have 3 independent auxiliary inputs where you can actually, it's basically an extra I²S input where you can actually say connect your CD player, for example, and with a toggle switch, if that jumper is on or off, you can link that to a switch. You can actually switch the I²S signal from these actually, from this input here to this input here. And this way you don't need to build another TD1 DAC just to have one for your CD player, one for your streamer. The same TD1 DAC can actually work with both. It's just a matter of flicking the switch and now you're switching your inputs. And that is a really great feature I wanted to do for a long time. And the biggest feature of the Gabster TD1 interface is it has a built-in CRLC filter. And also a high-quality linear power supply, which converts a 5 volt to 3.3 volts. You don't need to actually give it anything special. As long as you give it a decent 5 volt, it's going to automatically make that 5 volt into an awesome 3.3 volt. And that's because it has all these filters that have extremely low ESR. It's similar to my CRLC filter. This one is slightly more geared for high frequency, so it has a lot of different capacitors that are smaller, and also some film capacitors, a whole different capacitors that are geared more for a high frequency FPGA system. On top of the balance mode, we have what I call the dual single-ended mode. So basically what you can do, now you have an extra UFL output, so you have an extra data left, which is data left 2 and data right 2. So now you can have 2 boards. One board will be doing the left channel, one board will be doing the right channel, but running in single-ended mode. So you take the 2 RCA at the front, you connect them together, and you're going to have one single-ended mode between the two. Now, I still have not tried some of that feature yet to see if it's going to be better in sound. That's going to be probably another adventure, but definitely the option is there if someone wants to use it. And what would a nice power supply do? Because the chip that's processing all these signals have such a great power supply, the signal quality is going to be improved. So you're going to have a quality of a signal that has a lot less artifacts than, for example, if you didn't have a good power onto your processor. And this is how clean the signal is. It is like super, super clean. You can see here that it's just a nice pure square wave. And here I'm probing the DC 3.3 voltage on it, and actually have it checked here using the QuantAsylum Q403. And you could see that it's all below the 130 dB, 135 dB. So this is like super, super clean, basically, even while the chip is in full functioning mode. So this is under load, not just under load, while the chip is getting all these super high frequencies in the megahertz from the BCK, LRCK, and the data, and that can create a lot of noise sometimes. So you could see how being taking care of all the little details to keep that noise to the minimum. And the Gabster CRLC filter here is making a wonderful job. Not just that, it also has a beautiful, basically linear power regulator that's also contributing to this super, super low noise. And if we zoom in a little bit more on the frequency here, you can see it's just super, super clean. It's just beautiful. And here you can see the data signal also super clean. So all around it's just working beautifully. All the UFL connectors are already soldered and ready to go. And the format of the Gabster TD1 interface will fit exactly the format of the Gabster TD1 DAC, so you can actually build it on your stack. Usually you wouldn't put it on top. I'm just trying to display it here because it is the main feature here. You probably would put it below the DAC. There are 3 LED lights here that relate to all BCK, LRCK, and data, and this way you know if they're connected properly or not. You can also feed the UFL from underneath the board. There are 3 cutouts here in case you want to send your basically UFLs from underneath the board. That could help, depends on your setup. The rest of the UFLs are conveniently located at the very front, so basically to connect to your DAC, you can actually use a super short cable. I am using a very long one here just to demonstrate because I'm keep putting them on and off and moving it around, but once you settle in, you can actually use a super short UFL cable right there. If you are using one of Ian Canada's great streamers, I'm not recommending anymore stacking everything on top. The tower is getting ridiculously tall, especially with all the CRLC filters and all the different things that we're adding here and now with Gabster interface. So I suggest you keep the streamer separate than the DAC. It seems to be the norm these days. So this will be your streamer, your Ian Canada streamer, and this would be your Gabster TD1 DAC. And basically you just need the 3 cables. Now you no longer need the master clock. You just need BCK, LRCK, and data, and you just connect those 3 here. And then you're good to go, and you can use Ian Canada's great streamer for that purpose. Now, if you are using a CD player or anything else, you can connect it, like we said, with the other UFL connector and switch between one or the other. If for some reason you are not using an Ian Canada streamer and you want to use, for example, let's say you have your Ever Solo streamer and you want to directly save money, for example, for some reason, and go straight to the Gabster TD1 interface, you can, because you no longer need a master clock to do that. Now, I still recommend to use Ian Canada's FIFO-Q7. It is an excellent reclocker, and I think it does a lot of benefits to the sound. But I'm just giving you guys options just in case. We have some DIYers that absolutely want to save every penny, and I can understand that. I was there once, and I do relate to that. And so in that case, you might want to maybe skip all the CRLC filter, just go straight to the DAC, the interface, and maybe use, for example, one of the budget Ever Solo, like the Play, and get your I²S signal out of it. And now you have a decent system without spending a fortune. But of course, if we can, I would suggest to go with the Ian Canada's reclocking, maybe use Ian's beautiful clocks, the SC Pures, and also it's got a beautiful platform here on the Pure Pi or whatever platform you might want to use. Maybe some big ultracapacitors like we have here, like the big UC Pures here, or the 15-volt UC Pure Mini. So there's so many options. As you can see from I started basically putting some of the designs that other people are actually, the builds that other people are building. You can see there's some drastic differences between each one of them. And none of them are, and they're all great, not through diminishing for any of them. It's just, it's a different way that everyone builds his own system. And this is the beauty of DIY. It's not all the same cookie cutter for all of us. And now the burning question on everybody's mind, how does it sound? There was a surprise here. First, when I built it, I wasn't like aiming to have a huge difference in sound. In my mind, I just tried my best, especially worked very hard on the power supply for it because the FPGA works on 3.3 volts. So basically you've got 5 volts. So I used some one of the best basically a regulator, the LT3045, which is capable of going down to 0.8 microvolt in ripple against some other great things that it possesses. And then I added the CRLC filter to it, and I was able to get down to 0.5 microvolt. So it's an incredibly amazing power supply, and that really made a little difference. The difference in sound from, for example, before is just a little bit, just a slight more refinement. But the biggest surprise, and the one I talked about earlier in the video, is I tried because I wanted to try the board. I was trying to put it through the paces, try everything possible before, I can declare it as a good board. And so I'll just try the DEM modulator to see how that sounds. I wasn't expecting much, and boy, oh boy, I was really surprised to see that actually it made a significant difference in the sound. Not huge, but just enough that I could really hear it. And I was like, holy smokes, I did not expect that. And this is what made me happy, and I was so thrilled about it, because it's like, wow, I'm glad I tried this. Because I have tried the DEM modulator before. I bought a little tiny board from on eBay. It's got, probably some people are familiar with it. And basically it does similar thing. It's got a couple chips that divide the BCK into different half, quarter, 1/8 and stuff like that. But I think because it was just under the chip itself, not getting good power supply, it was creating more noise than it was good. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, that's all. And I think the biggest part was the power supply, the regulating by the CRLC filter and the regulator itself, and that made, I think, a difference. And all in all, you'll see that the signal is very clean, and that's what you can see now. Would that translate in sound? A tiny bit, but mostly the DEM as well gave the biggest contribution. Building the board was only half the battle. The other half was programming the FPGA chip. Programming could be quite complex, especially when you're trying to add all these features on one board, and that took a long time. There was a lot of sleepless nights, staying up till 3 in the morning and getting up early, and there was a lot of that, and finally managed to get it to all work together. What's great about the Gabster TD1 interface, it just incorporates all these things that have always been on my mind that I want them to do, and I finally was able to put them all in one board that can do it all. And it's in the Gabster TD1 format, so no AliExpress board is going to come anywhere close to it, and it's just, they're not geared to that. There are a couple on AliExpress you could buy. They're decent, but they're nowhere near. Also, you don't have the functionalities. You still have to put all the UFLs, connectors, and all these things, and it doesn't have a great power supply. So by the time you add all these things, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and you still don't have the functionalities. The board's going to be on my Gabster.ca website. I will be slowly for sale, and there will be a small initial phase. I'd only have about probably 8 boards that I could sell at the beginning, because I would just do the small batch, and then there'll be another batch coming up later. If you're not on my Patreon yet, there's a lot of things we discuss there that we do not discuss here. It might actually open your eyes to some really cool things that we've been doing. On there, we also have a forum where everybody chip in about to contribute for the Gabster TD1 deck, and also other actually things that are building. So feel free to join my Patreon. It's not really super expensive. It also helps supporting me and helps support the channel. I'm going to put a couple videos in the corners about things that might interest you, and there'll be a speaker in the middle if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. It's another way to support me, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care.